right, friends and family. If all my systems are done being dramatic, we are live and recording. Welcome back to the Bookcast. This is my platform for sharing short fictions and updates on what I'm reading and writing. This is episode 81, and I am D.L. White, author of contemporary Southern and romantic fiction novels that center Black love and relationships. I'm also a big fan of books, so we usually begin with a book report. Then we talk about writing and topics of the day. Today I am celebrating a milestone birthday, so today's episode will be rather light on content, but I am going to hit the highlights, and then I just want to basically yammer about what I've been doing for the past week. I'm currently writing The Pearl at Black Diamond Romance number 3, and I don't have much of a writing progress update to share, but I will talk about where I am with writing that book in the writing update. As I'm recording this, I just remembered that I normally edit on Audacity, and I am not on my home system, so editing this is going to be fun. We go on. The Bookcast is a production of Books by D.L. White, written, edited, produced, and supported by me. If you'd love to back me up, I'd be most grateful. The best way to support me as an author or this podcast is to buy the books. Share the good word about the show and drop a few coins if you can at bookcast.buzzsprout.com. I recently hit 2,500 downloads, and I'm ever so excited about hitting that milestone. The other milestone I hit is 9 years as a published author. Brunch at Ruby's, my debut novel, The Book of My Heart, turned 9 years old on March 24th. So many years ago, 9 to be exact. My goal was to lose 100 pounds and write a book. I accomplished both goals, so it may be time for some new goals. So I gotta think about that here in my 50th year. Speaking of Rubies, my ebook sale is still running, and I have put the audiobook on sale at Chirp. That's chirpbooks.com, chirpbooks.com. If you don't have this title in audio, now is the time to go grab it. It is 99 cents. So is the follow-up Dinner at Sam's. That's a normally $12.99 audiobook, so snag it while it's hot. If you are interested in more of my books, just head to booksbydlwhite.com/books. My website store has all of the good stuff in ebook or audio. You can find print copies at most online retailers, at Resist Booksellers, or bookshop.org. As well, all my titles are available wherever ebook, audio, and print are sold, including subscription sites like Everand, which is the new name for Scribd, and Kobo Plus. And they're available to request at your local library through Libby or Hoopla. And I just saw yesterday that Hoopla has added more of my ebooks and audiobooks to their website. So yay, it's only been 5 years that I have been waiting for them to add my books to the website. So, all right. Today we will start with the book report as always, then a teensy writing update, and a little debrief on my trip to the Big Easy for my 50th birthday. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2024. It is my 50th birthday. It is 9:31 a.m. It is 69 degrees and rising in New Orleans, Louisiana. I packed my mic and my headphones. I did not pack Audacity, so I don't know how I'm going to edit, but we're going to get it figured out. But first, let's have some regular old hotel coffee. Womp, womp. The coffee is cold and unimpressive, and I miss my hot Bustelo coffee already. All right. We begin, as always, with the book report because I am a bookhead. It is a new year, so a new challenge, and I have read 40 books of my challenge to read 150 books this year. I am 6 books ahead on my Goodreads challenge, thanks to some really short Audible reads. I read this week 5 books, so good going there. I read a few books in the Never Tell collection, which is an Audible short story collection. I read Everywhere You Look by Liv Constantine. I read Scorpions by Rachel Housel Hall, which I really, really enjoyed. And I read The Bad Friend by Caroline Kepnes, which was, wow, that was a really, really good story. I also read Strictly Professional by Christina C. Jones. I'm continuing in my run of reading workplace romances just so I can stay in the mood. I am reading The American Daughters by Maurice Carlos Ruffin. Yes, it's still on my list. I did actually start it since I am on vacation. I did go ahead and start it. It's very good so far. I actually met him yesterday. I was over at Baldwin Books with Farah Rashan yesterday, and he was there recording a podcast episode with another emerging writer. I forget her name. Her name completely slips my mind, but her book comes out at the beginning of April, like April 4th or something like that. He was recording an episode with her. They have a podcast studio over there at Baldwin, and he came out and he was like, hey, so I got a chance to meet him. Delightful fellow, delightful. I'm going to read Jackrabbit Skin by Ivy Pochota and The Other Side of the Road by Andrea Bartz. Those are the next in the Never Tell collection. Those audiobooks are like maybe an hour, 2 hours long. So they are great if you have a short attention span and you just want to get some books in. They're usually, I usually find, at least a couple of books in those collections that will whet my appetite. On the writing update, last week my word count was 43,950 out of a 70K word goal. Today I am at just over 50,000 words. I cannot begin to tell you how I got in that many words in a week. I don't remember writing, but apparently I did. I looked at my outline from the last Bookcast, and it said I was at 40,000. I don't know. Anyway, the update is I am over 50,000 words. I don't know if I can wrap this book up in 25,000 words, but we are going to see where we end up. My couple have finally come around to the attraction that they have for each other, and this is where things might get a little dicey for them. Well, for my heroine anyway, I've got a little personal conflict that's brewing for Kari, where she's come into this role and she's like, I'm perfect for this job. Just let me do it. I know what I'm doing. And then she is going to have to choose between her personal life and her professional life. And Davis has the opportunity to be the best, most understanding boss ever. I'm really looking forward to writing that scene, but I am a person that has to write in order. So I'm trying to get there. If I write scenes out of order, I feel like I have scenes but not a story. They don't tie together well for me, so I have to go scene by scene, chapter by chapter, and tie my stories together, and I don't like doing that inorganically. So to me, the story flows in an organic fashion, and I just feel like I have a very disjointed story if I write scenes before they come in the book. So I'm very tempted to go ahead and write that, but I'm just going to continue to think about it, take some notes, make note of what I want to include in those scenes. And I'm trying to get there. So I'm going to work on some today, but again, I didn't bring my personal laptop. It's just too much weight to drag around. And some of the scenes that I want to write are steamy and intimate, and I only have my work laptop, and so I can't really do that on my work laptop. So I've been using my iPad, which has I have a Bluetooth keyboard, and I can write on it, but it is not the same as using a laptop. I'm really tired of fighting with the Bluetooth keyboard. The mouse moves all over the page. Suddenly I'm typing words in a whole different chapter or like a whole different page, or the page closes entirely because it's literally just an app. I hate this keyboard case, and I am going over to the Ghost of Steve Jobs website to order a keyboard that is compatible with my iPad, where the mouse isn't all that sensitive. Just like no matter where I set my fingers, it just seems to like move the cursor around the page, and I am just so irritated about it. So I had one, but I broke it, and I was trying to be cheap. You see where that got me? Don't ever be cheap. So that's it for the writing update. I did finally get to an intimate scene. I was quite frustrated with trying to write that yesterday and like not be on my work laptop. So I got through that scene. Then I switched over to my work laptop to write the rest of it. That wasn't, the steamy part. I do regret not bringing my personal laptop. I thought my iPad would stand in the gap, but I'm really learning my lesson, and maybe I just need like a smaller travel laptop, but I just don't, I don't want another device. I don't need another device. I need a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi keyboard that works, that is portable. I have a Wi-Fi keyboard that I use for work, but it is so big because I need the number pad that I just leave it there. But I do just need something I can just set up my iPad and, whip out the keyboard and type away. So I know these are very first world writer with disposable income problems. So while I'm here being in New Orleans for my birthday, I wanted to give a little rundown of what I have been doing out here. Some of it's nerdy enjoyment. Some of it is author stuff. Some of it is work. And I did not script this part of the episode. So excuse a little bit of rambling and probably some repetition because that is who I am as a person. So I came to New Orleans for work. We had a meeting. Our chief of operations had a meeting with his people leaders and then with his franchise organization, and our department connects directly with franchise. So the executive assistant for the chief of operations asked if I would come down to help run the meeting, and I was delighted to do so. She's a level above me, and I would like to get experience running programs and events at that level. It's definitely eye-opening, all the things you have to think about, worry about, set up, arrange. So I definitely learned a lot this week. So I flew into New Orleans on Monday, immediately started working, packing bags, checking in items, getting things all set, doing name tags and lanyards, checking people in, etc. The meeting began on Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it was just basically an all-day thing. It's a general session at 8 a.m. Work until 4 with meals, breaks, etc. Making sure everybody gets fed. Everybody is well fed, well watered. You'll never go hungry at a meeting at Beverage Giant. We do like to feed you because we find that people stress eat, they nervous eat, and while they will eat if food is there, we also like to make sure they have some healthy options. So there's yogurt and nuts and Kind bars, but there's also like chocolate and beignets and popcorn. So had a great time. The evenings were lots of togetherness and socializing. And I'm the type of person that I'll show up. I make sure everybody got in, make sure everybody got a plate to eat. Everybody is having a great time. And then I disappear. That's just the way I do things. So our evening event started at 7 and I was back in my hotel room by about 9:15. So had a really great time just hanging out in New Orleans, doing some fun things. Evening 1 was at Fulton Alley, which is like it's a bowling alley with games, good food. We had catered food, so that was great. Night 2 was at the New Orleans Culinary Hospitality Institute, where they teach people basically how to cook. So we had our evening event there. And then Thursday was basically the last day of the meeting, and I hung out until my boss left. And then I hopped in a Lyft and headed over to the hotel that I had booked for myself personally. And let me just tell you a funny story about me. I'm spoiled, and I don't think I'm bougie, but sometimes I do bougie things. Sometimes I identify as a bougie person, and I picked out this hotel online. Didn't really ask anybody about it, but it looked cute from the outside. And I got to the hotel and I said, you know what? No. Then I said, you know what? Stop being bougie. Just like check in. It's just a hotel. You're going to be fine. So I checked in, and the check-in process was not my favorite, but like the keys are key fobs and they have like updated payment systems, but there's no elevator in the hotel. So I'm like looking at this flight of stairs that actually looks like 2 flights of stairs. I have these heavy suitcases. I got my laptop bag and all that stuff. And I was like, you have no elevator? And the clerk was like, no elevator. So I drag all my stuff up to my room. I go ahead and check in, and the room is fine, but it's not run down, but it is very plain. It is very sparse. It is like a boutique not a branded hotel. And I probably would have been fine if I was on the ground floor, but I just knew that I was not going to enjoy myself in that hotel. And I said, I don't think this is going to work for me. So I hop on the internet and I go to Hilton.com, and my company has a corporate rate at Hilton. And I just did what I should have done in the first place. I booked myself a room. I called the hotel I checked into and I said, I am just going to be honest. I don't like the hotel and I'm going to check out. How much is the penalty? So they told me, if you check out tonight, it's this. If you check out tomorrow, it's that. You have until this time. And I said, I have plans tomorrow. I'm going to be gone all day. I'm just going to go ahead and check out tonight. So I grab all my stuff, hike it on downstairs, checked out, scheduled myself another rideshare ride, and hopped it on over to Hilton.com, just outside of the French Quarter. It's in CBD, which is the central business district. And here I am, my little spoiled bougie self in my Hilton.com hotel room. And I love it. I mean, there was no refrigerator. There was no microwave. The TV didn't work, and the TV doesn't work in this room. I have my iPad and I connect to my Hulu and my Netflix or whatever, and I watch that. But like at bare minimum, the TV should work. So here I have been since Thursday night because I am spoiled. I leave tomorrow. And I've had a ball. So Friday I got up and kind of took my time, had some breakfast here at the hotel. And then I headed on over to, I forget what area of town it is, but if you know New Orleans, the pickup point is by the Landry Seafood. There's like a ticket booth over there. So I got on a 2-hour tour of the city of New Orleans, which was great. The guide is a history professor at some university here in New Orleans. I forget which one he said. Super knowledgeable about the history of New Orleans, stem to stern, and just super passionate about it. I really appreciate a guide that knows what they're talking about, and everything from, hey, where's the best place to have ribs, and what's a good place to have shrimp and grits. And it was like a 20-minute lecture on the difference between Cajun and Creole. And like, I'm a nerd, so I was fascinated. Had a very good time. The midpoint was the Café du Monde in Park City. So we had like a half hour to stop, get some beignets, have some coffee, sit in the park. It was delightful. Hop back on the bus. We did a stop at St. Louis Cemetery number 3, did some, a little bit of history lesson on how people are buried there in the tombs above ground, below ground, like how many people you can have in there. You can have like 900 people in one of those tombs. Like that's how they kind of solve the issue of like where to bury people. So I love a cemetery tour. I don't go on a whole bunch of them because I'm not superstitious and I'm not a scared person, but like I can only hang around the dead so much. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, I'll do like one cemetery tour, but I'm not going to do like a 2-hour full on like ghost tour. That's not really my bag. But as part of the city tour, I thought it was very educational. Really liked it. I love like any kind of information, history, here's how we do this type thing. So I was all over it. Then headed back into town, and then I came to my room. I did some reading and some writing. Like I did things like where I was out and about for a few hours a day, and then I have to come back to my room, like decompress, get some food, like catch up with things, charge all my things. I ordered dinner. I think I had po' boys that night. So I just like had a good time. And then the next day I had an early day on Saturday. I got up and I arranged for a tour of the Whitney Plantation Museum. They pick you up at your hotel, drive you out to Wallace, Louisiana. We passed a few plantations along the way. I think I was very surprised that the plantations, it's not like, I think I imagined them to be like huge spanses of land, like miles long. And they really weren't. They were just like one, like right after the other. It's just like a big house with like a lot of land behind it and like other structures on the property. So we passed, we went to Oak Valley first because we dropped off a few people who were doing a tour of Oak Valley, and then kind of backtracked and drove past a couple of other plantations before we got to Whitney. Now, Whitney Plantation Museum opened in 2014. It was an active working plantation until 1975. At the end of slavery, the plantation was still in operation, but it transferred over to a sharecropper model because people really had nowhere to go and no money to go anywhere. And so they continued working the land. But the issue was that the sharecroppers were, of course, always indebted to the landowner, and they had to buy everything now instead of things being provided for them. And so that would have been subtracted from the low pay they were already receiving. So they were in a constant state of being in debt to the landowner. So it was still slavery, but by another name. So the Whitney Plantation there are some original structures, there are some reproduced structures, there are some structures from other plantations that are placed on the land for educational purposes. Like, the church that's there is donated by Antioch Baptist, I believe, which the original name was Anti-Yoke, which was a protest against the yoke that the enslaved were bound by. It somehow has transformed into Antioch, but there's a church there. The original structure was donated to the museum so that people could tour it. People have, events and educational type things out there, but it's a audio self-guided tour. So you get headphones and you get a little device, and you can pick point one. It'll direct you to point one. Here's all the information. Here's background information on these people. Here's their stories. Here's what that's about. Now go to point two. Now go to point three, point four, five. There's 14 different stops. It took about 2 hours to go through. It's self-guided, so you can take your time, make your way through. It is very in your face. It is very straightforward. It can be difficult to go through that, but it's not a tour that tugs at the heartstrings. It is just a very realistic and point blank description of what each structure represented, what each structure meant on the plantation, the big house, the kitchen house, the overseer's house, the blacksmith, the jail, the cabins, and then there's a couple of memorials that are dedicated to the lives that were lost during uprisings, and a few memorials that are there for remembrances. And then it's a museum, of course, so there's a little bit of like a timetable up there in the main building. And, you can get trinkets and memorabilia. There's a bookstore with, a lot of books in there, some that are nonfiction about enslavement, some that are local New Orleans authors. And then there are a few, crafts that you could buy, like Wix NOLA is one of my favorite candle shops. So they have a few candles out there. It was a super enjoyable, I hesitate to say enjoyable. I don't want to say, man, I had a great time out at this plantation, but it was a very educational experience. It was very well done. I would probably do it again in like a year or two, just to okay, I did this before. I want to really concentrate on these sections of the tour. But I knew I only had a couple of hours. They dropped us off at 10 and said, we'll be back at 12:15. So I knew I only had a couple of hours. And so I was just really trying to make it through to the end. If I went again, I would concentrate on maybe the big house, look through all the rooms and look through the enslaved cabins and really get a sense for the reverence of the place. It's a very quiet, very reverent property. And even on the sign outside, it asks people to be mindful of the spirit that you bring to that location, because we want to show respect to the people that were enslaved there and the people that ended up working there until 1975. Some of the cabins weren't really, I mean, they're not updated at all. And so the cabins that are there, at least one of the cabins are as of, I believe, like 1976 is the last time that anyone lived in them. They're not updated at all. They're very sparse. It is like a very plain structure. It's just literally a bed, a fireplace. They work from dark to dark, from before sunup to after sundown. Not too much time to spend, in the structure. Very educational, very eye-opening. If you're going to tour any plantation, definitely tour the Whitney. It is well worth the time spent to drive out to Wallace, Louisiana. So I did that on Saturday morning, came back to my room, did a little bit of walking around, but I was kind of tired after a long morning. I was picked up at 8 a.m. and I got back to my room around 1:30 or so. And then Saturday night, I don't remember what I ordered, but it was something. It was darn good. And then Saturday night, what did I order? I can't remember. But on Sunday, I had brunch plans with one of my favorite New Orleans-based authors, Farah Rashan. We met at Katie's for brunch. I had the trout and grits. It was so delicious, so absolutely delicious. We had a wonderful time catching up. I haven't seen her in a few years. I saw her the first time I came to New Orleans was when I presented for Essence Fest. I want to say that's like 2018, maybe something, 2017 maybe, is when I came to New Orleans for Essence Fest, and I met her that time. Had a wonderful time catching up. Farah is just a delight. She is busy. Just, I'm so grateful that she took time out of her schedule. She has got like 2 books coming out within weeks of each other. She's about to go on tour. She definitely has so much more to do than have brunch with me. But we had brunch, and then we rode over to Baldwin Books and had a little writing date. So I got out, my laptop, and we sat and wrote, and she worked on page edits and I worked on the Pearl, and just had a great time for a couple hours. I mentioned earlier that I met Maurice Carlos Ruffin. That was a surprise. And another debut author, her book is coming out in a few months. If I see it, I'll recognize it, but I don't remember her name. Just had a delightful time. Around 4 or 5 o'clock, we packed it up. I headed on back to my room, and I really enjoyed my Sunday night just here in my room, caught up with some reading. I got in a lot of writing last night. I was just in a mood to write. So I finished a chapter that I was working on, and then I just chilled out. I did not finish my brunch. So I ate what I had left over for brunch for dinner, and then called it a night. And here we are on Monday, the 25th. It is my 50th birthday. I'm here on the mic. I am doing a podcast, and then I don't really know what I'm going to do today. I was going to do another tour, but I'm just kind of enjoying what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing today, but don't judge me if I just put on the do not disturb sign and lay across this hotel bed, because I do love a hotel. I absolutely love a hotel, and I catch up on my reading. I catch up on eating all the leftovers I've been collecting all weekend because I haven't finished a meal yet. I still have my po' boy from Friday or Saturday, whatever. I think Saturday I ordered po' boys because Thursday night I ordered in. I don't know. Listen, I don't know, people. I don't know. Anyway, I have at least 2 meals in the refrigerator that I need to finish before I leave town. I fly tomorrow. New Orleans will not owe me a darn thing. I have had really such a great time. I'm normally on the beach for my birthday, but the way that I travel now is I get to go to such neat places for work that work will pay for my air. So I just extend my trip through the weekend, and then I book my own personal hotel. And so that's how I vacation now, since I was already going to be here and it was going to be my birthday. And they were like, hey, you want to come help out? And I'm like, sure. And I'll just stay the weekend. So I call me frugal, but I'll take it. If I can get a hotel room, I will go. I've had such a delightful time here. This city is always so vibrant. The people are so, so friendly. Everybody from the wait staff to the rideshare drivers to the hotel staff to just people on the street, the guides on the buses, just like people. People are just so friendly here. It's that Southern hospitality with a little bit of Cajun flavor. I absolutely love it. This is such a great city, and I am here to enjoy it. I will definitely be back. Probably not during Essence Fest because it's just too many people, but I will definitely be back. And that's all I have to say about that. Do you have a topic you would like me to cover on the Bookcast? I am happy to yammer for 27 to 33 minutes about a topic of your choosing. Shout me out or holler. I'm always on Instagram or Twitter, or you can visit the show notes of this episode at booksbydlwhite.com/bookcast. I welcome your feedback. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me for today's chat and for helping me to celebrate a milestone birthday. 50 years. I will be so interested to see how this decade treats me. If it's anything like the 40s, it's going to be good. I will be back next week with a reading update and a writing update. So please enjoy your week. Have a superlative one, and we'll chat again soon. Bye-bye.